Hey, it's Drybear. It's the start of week 7 in Dragonflight Season 1. We did this last week and people had asked for me to do it again, so we're going to be opening my vault for all of my characters in week 7. I'll explain my choices and give a little background, and we'll just enjoy the process of opening presents on Vault Day together. Now, I do have 1070s that I play actively every single week. However, this week, specifically, I only have 5 vaults to open, and that's because I was doing ahead of the curve last week. I figured I'd just go ahead and bite the bullet, get it done, and then move forward with getting the vaults done. So we're gonna have 5 to open this week, but hopefully they're all really good. Starting with my priest. We finished up the Holy Priest M+, and the Raid Guide. So now we've switched our specialization to Discipline, and I'll be working on my Discipline guides coming next. So now we're set up for Discipline. Let's open the vault. Let's see what's inside. Hopefully we get something good. We did a full heroic clear on the priest, so we should have full heroic gear at 402 base eye level. Then we did 1 mythic plus dungeon. I don't think it was all that high. It was like a 15 or something. So, you know, we're going to get some value out of that. So this is what we got. We actually don't have the 4-set bonus on this, and I think it's useful. Before I figure out what I'm going to spend my catalyst on, I'm probably going to do a heroic clear and then do the vault opening for each of my characters, just so if I figure that I want to use the catalyst to finish off a set for some character, I know which one it needs the most. So we did get the Ice Blood Death Snare. This one, unfortunately, there's not many classes that actually use it to great effect. We go to our trusty, dusty bloodmallet.com. It has a lot of parsing specifically for trinkets. Unfortunately, there isn't any for healing, just because they're not all that, like there just isn't really a way to parse healing trinkets in general. Sometimes you get mana back, sometimes you get other things. But we can look at Shadow as it scales with for Priest. You can see the Ice Blood Death Snare does not do all that well. It's about average at best. There's tons and tons of trinkets that are much better. So this trinket in general, I haven't found a class yet where I've been excited to get this trinket on, so I think we're gonna nix that. We have a 408 back item with crit mastery. For disc, we would want haste. We want haste a lot more, so I think ours is probably in a better spot. The one thing that changes up this choice is because it's a Mythic Plus item out of the vault, it can be upgraded with Valor. You can see the upgrade level 11 out of 13. So if we choose this one, we can get the extra little bit of eye level scaling up with Valor if we decide to go down that road. We also have a waste item with Mastery Haste 408. And then we have a set item, the Breeches at 402. We already do have the items. We already do have the same exact item at 389. So we're not gaining any new specific pieces for that. Like, we still have the 2-set for our Disc Priest. So I think from that, it's probably better to grab one of these, just because it is going to be an eye level increase, and it's one less thing to have to worry about. It's not a great choice. We didn't get super lucky here. It's unfortunate we got the same item we already had. This is gonna be a Mastery Haste waste item, although we already do have a 395, and then we have a 408 cloak with no haste on it. So I think I'm going to nix that as well. So it's between the upgrade on the leg items. It is nice to have a higher eye level for the set item for the legs. But this one I think is probably going to be better because what I'm wearing right now has no haste on it at all. So we're going to take the higher eye level, the 408. It's the offset. I believe this is part of, yeah, it's the blue. I think it's the blue non-class specific set that you're going to get. So we're going to take the 408 waste here. Not super great, but you know, it's something. Let's take it. On to the Paladin. Also did a heroic clear. He is on protection right now because we did finish our Holy M+ and Raid guides. We're gonna do the same thing for Protection Paladin, then we'll move on to Ret. But right now we are Protection, tanky boy. So with the heroic loot, hopefully there's enough in here. I think I did an M+ on him last week. So at least we'll have that as an option. Stat-wise, we like having haste and mastery. It gives us more valuable rotations. Make sure we have our loot spec set. Let's open it up. See what's inside. Oh God, here we go. Bam! I did do an M+. Not a very high one though, 402. Unlucky. Oh, wow! Oh man, I think I have to take this. This trinket is incredible for almost everyone. It is so good. We got a 402 here with Verse Crit. We got the necklace with Verse on it, which is pretty good. You also have the dealing fire damage as a chance to ignite your enemies, burning them, which is a way to proc the fire bonus trinket. A lot of Verse on it as well. And then we have the offset 402 with verse haste on it, which actually isn't too bad. We check our handy dandy blood mallet. We can see that actually for prop paladin, the Whispering Incarnate icon isn't as good as plenty of other choices. Shockingly, the Ruby Whelp Shell, if you stack 6 priority for a single target, is still going to be good for damage. Now keep in mind, this is going to be for damage output, not necessarily for tanking value. So if you're looking at tanking or healing, take this with a grain of salt, but it is something that's interesting to see for damage output individually. So what this does is it gives you, increase your verse by 503, and then when you are with allies who have this trinket and are infused with fire or frost, is a chance to give you their stat at half value for 12 seconds, which is pretty cool. So a little bit of verse proc, 419 strength at 408 eye level, not too bad. The necklace is also a big upgrade, or the finger here is a big upgrade for me. I have a 332 here, and it does have the chance for fire ignition, which is really, really good for being able to proc extra little bits, enchants, and things like that. I would like to have this as this like non-set, this like the warrior set for Paladin. Super nice transmog to grab there. The wrists, not super impressive. These are verse haste, which isn't too bad. I think haste mastery would be better. That's a ton of verse, and the fire is there, and it's 408 eye level. However, we know the Incarnate icon is a hard trinket to get, and if you run DPS here with the Incarnate, I'm just seeing if for Ret, this is the Retribution, see if for Ret we may want to pick it up, just because it is kind of towards the top. This gives you crazy damage output, because I believe it does give crit. Yeah, it gives crit for Ret. So when you have these different bases here, especially if you have someone that's with you, it actually parses as one of the best. So shockingly, the Ruby Whelp Shell, they've updated their parses for the new discovery on Ruby Whelp Shell, and you can see that the single target does slightly outperform it for damage output on Ret. So it's not like a must-have, must-get. Now we do know that we can proc Seal Diurna's Chosen with the Decoration of Flame, this trinket that shoots out fire, and it should have a really high proc chance when used with this trinket. I think it would be super good for like Brewmaster that can do fire regularly, but I'm curious to see how this would work with a prop paladin, since most of my abilities are going to be holy damage rather than fire damage. Really, the only way I can proc this trinket is with the shield, but it will give me a way to pull enemies. One of the things that prop paladin does struggle with is being able to pull aggro on large mob sets instantly outside of just being able to use Divine Toll, because you don't really have that. So this might give another option for it. And since this Incarnate icon doesn't parse as well as I thought for prot or for Ret, I'm considering taking the ring. Now digging more into this, we've actually touched this last week looking at the vault. This can actually end up contributing a fair amount to your parse if you can regularly do fire damage. And I think my prop paladin is probably not in that category. There are some ways to do it. So you can use, obviously, Decoration of Flame, and then there's the crafted belt that procs Frostfire, which will proc this ring to deal fire damage. So I did look up some parses of other prop paladins that are running this specific combination. You can see that this is a mythic prop paladin with a very high DPS output parse, and then the ring itself contributes anywhere from 1 to 2% damage overall. So in a 9-minute Broodkeeper Diurna mythic fight, the Broodkeeper's Blaze provided a 327k bonus damage. That's just kind of passive because obviously the lingering frost spark is proccing there. So, and then they are running Decoration of Flames. So it's kind of like ideal situation. This looks like it would be an extra 1 to 2% damage output for me. And I think for that reason, you know, I probably would grab this on my Brewmaster because it's so much easier to do fire damage in that case, or maybe even the Demon Hunter or Vengeance on tanking. But in this case, and even when it comes to Ret, I think your only option for doing fire damage is the same as Prot, getting the belt or getting a trinket, or you can probably get some radiant damage, getting like Radiant Decree and all that. Unfortunately, because almost everything that I do on Prot is holy, the only way I can proc this is by using the crafted belt and then by using the trinket. And I think for that reason, I'm going to mess around with the Whispering Incarnate icon, which is actually pretty hard to get. So that's what we're going to roll with on the Prot Paladin. A tight choice this week. I almost wanted to get these here because the stats are good, but I do want to mess around with this trinket. and see where we go with it. On to the Druid, and same thing as the Paladin and the Priest. We have finished up our Restoration Druid M+ and Raid guides. So we're moving on to Guardian. We're going to be doing our Bear Tank guides coming up soon. Don't worry about the talents here. These all got swapped around with a patch. I'm not going to dig into that just yet. Let's see what the Druid got from the Vault this week. After clearing a heroic on Vault of the Incarnates, what did we get here? Give me something good. Come on, man. Oh boy. Okay, so we got Spiteful Storm. This one it's a great trinket. It's the one that makes you sit in place and can kill you. But it is super good, and it did proc at 411. This is the Razageth trinket. So this one's actually pretty hard to come by, especially at 411 heroic level. So we also have the a 402 chest. We're already wearing a 411 from Mythic Plus, and then we have a 408 set piece, which we actually don't have on this character. It's a little bit lower than what we're wearing right now, and is it's actually not bad stats, not necessarily for Bear specifically, but it is there. We have a 408 cloak, which doesn't really stand up to these. So let's, it's either going to be the set piece here to get our 4 set. We don't have to use our catalyst for that. And we can even do a clear this week to see where we get with that. But it is nice to get that 4 set, especially we're going to start working on balance and feral. Balance to the 4 set is absolutely required. It is so amazingly good. So we do want to make sure that we have the 4 set going into making the other ones. So let's take a look at the trinket parses. This is for Guardian. You can see Spiteful Storm is in the top 6. Amazingly good. This one, yeah, it's really good. So this one could be really useful for a nice big pull. It's also nice for tanking because you can just pop it, get an extra little bonus on it, and then do the extra damage to pull a threat right after using your rotation, which is pretty cool. Let's just make sure that we jump into, this is agility, oh, it is intellect as well. Let's see how the other specs parse with it. Feral, it doesn't parse as well. So this, actually, you can see the Whispering Incarnate with the crit bonus is super nice. These other trinkets do quite well. Even the Ruby Whelp Shell. This trinket just shot up on all these parses. It's so crazy. And then look at balance, see how it performs. Not great. Okay, so it's not like the top for balance, and it's okay for feral, but it actually is quite good for bear, and it's a hard trinket to come by because you either need to get it in your vault or you need to drop it from heroic Razageth, which is it's a pain to plug to get that every single week. You never know if you're going to get it. So we do have the set item here at 408, but because of the availability of this, I think I'm going to take Mr. Spiteful Storm here just to get it 411. Let's grab that and be done with it. And I totally mixed this trinket up with the Storm Eater's Boon rather than Spiteful Storm. This is not the one where you transform into elemental and stand still. This is just a passive that procs and shoots out arcing damage, which can be just really nice on parse-wise. And then it returns and increases the amount of spot you need, permanently increasing the damage against them until either of you die, which is great against bosses. So long encounters, you get extra value out of that. So this is not the elemental one, but still it parses great for bear. So we're gonna keep it. On to our monk. Same situation here. We finished up our Mistweaver guides. I'm making probably a new one for the new Shadowlands Gift caster style for Mistweaver, just to kind of get caught up on that. But we have our monk on Brewmaster right now. So same thing goes as it was with the other tanks. So we're gonna go ahead and open this up as a Brewmaster and see what we get on this. I can't remember if I did an M+ or not. I think I just spent my time getting heroic Razageth down. So just got a full clear here. So ended up getting a Eye of the Vengeful Hurricane. This is a super high haste item, which can be really nice for fist weaving. Can be valuable for the Windwalker as well. And then I'm gonna skip over the middle one because we have the Ice Climbers here at 402, which has crit and haste. And then we have this one, which is just, oh my god, this trinket is so amazingly good. It's so good for Demon Hunters, but let's see how good it is for Brewmaster. And this is about what I expected. All Totem of the Master is lower down in here. The reason this is so good for Vengeance Demon Hunter is because you have dodging and parrying built into your kit. You can actually get really high parry rate with Vengeance Demon Hunter, so this procs all the frickin' time, and you can get some crazy damage from it, and it also gives you some nice rotation plus stats. However, for Brew, it doesn't seem to be as good, even with the scaling dodge rate that Brew gets. It still does not seem to be parsing all that well. But while we're here, just because we're being mindful, we can check in on Windwalker to see how it does. And since they're not being attacked very much, it kind of sucks. So super down in there. It's better for tanks because when you dodge and parry, you're doing that often. Like I said, for Vengeance Demon Hunters, it's really good. But for Brew and Windwalker, it is pretty bad. So we're gonna skip over that, skip over this, and I think we take this big fat 906 haste 408 neck piece with crit on it as well. The stat weight is super good. A lot of the builds that I'll be running will rely on haste. So let's grab it and not look back. That's a ton of haste. Monk is done. On to Warrior. Another heroic clear as well. So we got that done. Let's jump into it. We're currently running protection on the Warrior. Just I'm gonna do a guide on all the tanks. So we're set up for loot spec protection. Let's open the vault. See what we get. Anything good? Christmas Day? Okay. 402 on all of them, so none of them upgraded, unlucky. We have a 402 back piece with crit mastery. We have another back piece with haste verse. That's actually pretty good. And then we do have our haste crit 402 gloves. Now in this case, verse haste is actually a better setup for me than haste crit for protection. And I think there might be some different setups here, but because haste is going to be super valuable for other builds that run on this character, and because it's a super high haste item, and it's a big upgrade for me. It's 43 eye levels on this versus the 7 that I would get for back piece. Pretty easy choice. Let's grab the heroic gauntlet glove piece for the Warrior. And that does it for the vaults we have this week. Hopefully next week we get a much bigger one, because we won't have the distraction of just, you know, pushing and doing all that stuff. So that's it. Thanks for hanging out. Let me know what you think down below. As always, if you have any questions or comments for me, you'll find me live every single day on twitch.tv/Drybear. Come by and say hi. Have a good one. If you enjoyed yourself today, leave a like down below. You can support me and my work on Patreon and view Patreon exclusive content. Link in the description. Thank you so much for tuning in, and I'll see you in the next one.